Hi, I'm Allison, and according to a new social psychology research study, singles who have a type are fooling themselves and might as well be letting a stranger pick their dates, it says. Just to give you a little more follow up, this is because most people are looking for more general positive qualities in a love interest, such as kind as intelligent personalities, according to the researchers from UC Davis. These findings were recently published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. And as a matchmaker, I'm always interested in reading these kinds of things and learning about new trends and studies in dating and relationships. It's just very interesting for me, given my work, just like anybody is interested in what they do. But I also like looking at this and seeing how we can apply it to how we work with our clients and if we need to tweak things and change things or anything along those lines. So this article just came out, and I will go ahead and for anyone who might be interested in it, I'm going to make sure that I share it in the comments so that you guys can read it. And they even actually have the whole study in there too for somebody who really likes to delve deep and understands all the sciencey part of that stuff. But just to kind of explain a little bit more, I'm going to kind of delve into it and kind of just share my thoughts and feelings and how it applies to what I do as a matchmaker. So first things first, if you are one of my clients and we've been working together and you've ever told me at some point that you're declining an introduction because someone is not your type, you have probably received a little bit of pushback from me on that for a couple of different reasons. It's actually one of the things I hate hearing the most in my job, and those who have talked to me about it understand why, and I've given you those reasons. But to the simplest way is that having a type is great if you're wanting the same results that you've had in the past. So most people come to us because what they've been doing on their own hasn't been working. Um, Whether it be they've been doing the online thing, maybe they've just been doing setups, they can't meet at work. However, they're coming to seek us out and hiring a professional to come in and match them and set them on dates. It's what they've been doing isn't working. It's pretty simple. So if you want to do something different, you really have to approach this differently than you would online dating or anything else. We all know the definition of insanity. So applying that to your dating life, dating the same people over and over again and expecting different results, where the results being the relationship actually works out and you end up happily ever after this time, it might actually drive you insane. I can't give you any statistics or research on that, but if anyone wants to share their thoughts and their own experiences, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Um, as someone who watches people fall in love for a living, I have found that it's much more likely to happen when people branch out of what they think that they want. And I'm going to share that reason at the end of this video. So you got to stay tuned and watch the whole thing and listen to my ramblings here. So, and just kind of a fun little tidbit, whenever I talk to people, they always assume that men are pickier than women when it comes to certain things. And it's always the opposite, I feel like. Women actually tend to be a little bit more stuck on only wanting to date what they perceive to be at their type, whether it be height or education level or income level or kind of these different things. They are actually pickier when it comes to a match, when it comes to men for whatever reason. And I'm sure everyone has their reasons, and we can all go over that another time, another day. But I just thought that I would share that too, so that what the opposite most people think is actually wrong. So the short summary of this study is that what they did is they met with over 700 people. They asked them to name the top 3 things that they were looking for in a partner, and people gave very positive, generic things like funny and intelligent and thoughtful, which everyone wants that, right? I mean, I ask people that all the time, and that's always funny is like the number one thing anyone wants. But it has to be the right sense of humor is usually what some people follow up with. And all this is super reasonable. Who doesn't want someone who's funny and thoughtful and intelligent? But when they conducted the study, they asked people to participate in a series of blind dates. For the sake of research, they were paid all this good stuff. But their findings was that the people they actually were interested in didn't necessarily possess the qualities that they were listed as their top 3 qualities that they wanted in a partner. And in some cases, it was the opposite. So I really enjoyed this because it's actually research based on people in a professional setting conducting this research, not just me doing it in my office here. But I literally see this every single day. One of the things that I do when I meet with a new client to get to know them, I ask them a ton of questions, and I want to get to know them, and that is my goal. I don't start asking them about what they're looking for in a partner until the very end of our conversation, when I feel like I have a better understanding of who they are as a person. And One thing I never ask about, which if you're, again, a client of mine, if you go through our conversations, I don't ask about physical characteristics. I ask specifically about personality traits, qualities, and values, and what are important to you when it comes to a partner. And why is that? Because someone's height or skin color or hair color really has nothing to do with compatibility. Being taller doesn't make you better at relationships. I think that is a fact. It might just make you a little bit more attractive to other people, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be better in a relationship or that you're going to be more compatible with that person just because they're a couple inches taller than you. Years ago, when I first started doing this, I would ask clients to tell me about their type and even describe their physical type and what they're looking for. I think way back when we even used to say, who's your celebrity crush, which is something no matchmaker should ever do because you're setting yourself up for super unrealistic expectations and what you're supposed to be delivering then. But I stopped asking about their type years ago because what I found is that a lot of people can't really describe what they're looking for. I have found that I have to actually see you go on the dates, and then when you have it in front of you and you can say, I liked A, B, and C, but not X, Y, and Z, that is how I get to know what you're looking for. I've worked with some people over the years who are super self-aware and they really know what they're looking for, but that's the exception and not the rule. Most people don't really know, which is why I always ask people to come with me on a little bit of a journey when you're working with us here. And work with us. You got to go on a couple dates. Watching you date is how we get to know you. This is one of the things we say most often here. Just to give you some examples, people actually end up with people who are in some ways the opposite of what they tell me that they're looking for. And a couple examples, a very successful woman that I worked with who told me that she'd only ever dated men who worked in the medical field, like doctors, sales reps, like some kind of medical person was who she dated before. And that's all she wanted to meet in terms of her matches. And she ended up getting married to a man several months after meeting him who drove trucks for a living. And she even said, like, he was a complete opposite of what I told you I wanted, but he is everything that I needed in a relationship and a man. I worked with a man who he was regularly declining women for not being a certain body type that he wanted. And granted, he was a shorter, like smaller build man, so he wasn't a big, bulky guy. So wanting someone who was petite was fine. But he's now in a long-term, very happy relationship with a woman who is not a size 2. So thinking you want these kind of physical things don't always end up. Another woman I worked with who was getting very frustrated because she had told me starting out, this was a white woman, that she'd only ever dated black men. That's what she found attractive. And she's marrying a man who was white. It just goes to show that like these physical things, height, skin color, hair color, all these different things that you think you might want don't necessarily add up to what you need in a relationship. And when you get too caught up on these things that in some ways are very superficial, you might actually miss out on meeting great people. And one of them could be the love of your life. I'm not a doctor or a researcher, but I have witnessed over 10,000 first dates in my career as a matchmaker. So I think I know what I'm talking about a little bit when it comes to a right way and a wrong way to date. And this is something, again, I tell everyone, the best way to date is to cast a wide net. And when I say that, I don't mean don't just date anyone and everyone and have no standards, but what I mean is that you have to pick like the core values that are really important to you that are going to actually determine if you and someone are going to line up. That is what you should be looking for when you're dating. And that is something, spoiler, you can't tell that from a profile, which is why online dating is not very successful for most people, because you're not going to know if someone is going to hold your hand when you're crying and sad by looking at a profile, right? You're only going to know that getting to know them, getting to know their character, spending some time with them. And that's why I encourage people to always, give it a couple dates, even if you're not sure. You are really going to know these things after, some things you have to actually date them and have a relationship with them to determine, this person can or cannot support me in the way that I need in a relationship. And that's one way to do it too. But most of the things that you're actually going to need in a relationship are going to be harder to determine on a profile. So that is why we encourage you to get outside your box and date someone who you wouldn't normally say yes to. So going back to what I had said earlier, kind of summarizing that a little bit too, Like, what is the thing that will make someone be successful, especially working with a matchmaker or a service like that? But this could apply to anybody who is doing online dating setups, whatever it is, however you're dating. And that is that you really need to be open to dating outside of the box, dating outside of what you think that you're looking for. And why that determines if you're going to be successful in finding someone or not. Because doing that is going to require a certain level of vulnerability. And the more open and vulnerable you are on dates, the more accepting of someone you are going to be. And you're going to be more able to let love in when you are more open. So it's kind of like all these things have to line up for one thing to happen. So if you're very closed off and you're very rigid, you're never going to fall in love. You have to be open, and you have to open your heart and open your mind to let love come in. And I know that's all fluffy and woo-woo, but it's the truth. So going back to the research and kind of summarizing things, the thing that I really liked how they explained it is that applying this experiment to kind of everyday situations, they say think of it like ordering food at a restaurant. We order things for ourselves because we're probably going to like what we pick. And what their finding suggests that when it comes to the romantic world, you might as well let a random stranger order for you because you're just as likely to end up liking what you get. Research indicates that algorithms on certain matching sites don't necessarily actually lead to love either, then they might very well be a waste of time. And a scientifically backed alternative to finding love could be the apps that rely on a friend or a relative to suggest your partners. So if you are looking for a new friend to apply this study to your own love life and conduct your own experiment to see how this might work out, you can give us a call. You can visit VinusMatchmaking.com. It's 402-991-4053 if you want to call and talk to us. I am happy to be your new friend and show you what you might be missing out on when it comes to your dating life. So again, I'm going to post this article in the comments or somewhere in here so you guys can all read it, but I also want to make sure that I do ask everyone out there to go and vote for us for Best Matchmaking Service in the Best of Omaha competition that started on July 1st. It runs through the end of August, voting does. It's really simple. To cast your ballot, you just have to pick us and 4 other things. So your favorite restaurant, dentist, whatever it might be. Go vote for some people. You know, this is always a fun way to kind of get our name out a little bit. It always helps with giving us you know, it's people who never heard of us hear about us from Best of Omaha and things like that. And so if you like us and you've enjoyed working with us, or your client, or you've heard of us, or we found your friend love, we would very much appreciate your vote. And I'll always make sure that we do share that information for you as well. And that's all I've got for you this afternoon. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week.